gas. Always under attack, always coming in last. Bringing up the bass, no one owes you anything. I think you need a shotgun blast, a kick in the ass. So paranoid, watch your back.
You know it. Good day to you. It is Thursday, September the 4th, and welcome into Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. How are you? Hope things are going along well for you. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. Appreciate you taking us along for the ride. Justin Kalen, high top, the crew chief's box for you here today.
That's right, and it's actually October 4th. You're a month behind.
I don't know why I wrote down September. I know why. I was doing stuff
Years
that involved
flying,
September, and that's where my brain was this morning, and it is very slow to change over in the morning. Speaking of Justin, before we get too far, let's get on into the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your headlines for this October 4th. Brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. A lot going on here on this Thursday. Yankees defeat the Oakland Athletics 7-2 last night to advance to the divisional round against the Red Sox. Baseball playoffs continue tonight as the Rockies and Brewers and the Braves and the Dodgers square off. Colts and the Patriots set to play in Thursday night football tonight. And former Clemson running back C.J. Fuller dies yesterday at the ripe old age of 22. Those are your headlines, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. Make sure you stop in for your hot breakfast, fill your gas tank, or hit up the daily lunch special, $4.99 today. Beans, fried potatoes, and cornbread.
Who'd you say passed away?
C.J. Fuller, remember him?
Running back?
Yeah.
Who for?
Clemson.
What happened?
They didn't announce what happened, but unfortunate there, yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of unfortunate, listening through a pair of headphones that our man Justin brought in from his side job.
Not good?
Sounds like listening to a megaphone on one side and someone screaming on the other, but they can't hear them.
Maybe they have an adjustment.
Yeah, there's an adjustment, all right.
Might have to get your
I'm looking at the
headphones
adjustment
switched over.
about 14 feet away in that green receptacle.
Well, those headphones were about 14 cents.
Yeah,
so.
no, I'm just kidding. I appreciate the effort, but as soon as I put them on, I started laughing because it was like this echo down a long, narrow tube of some sort. You know, you yell and your voice will echo down it, or if you throw rocks down it, it echoes.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's in my left ear. Right ear's just nothing.
Something's wrong. Doesn't sound.
Houston, we have a problem.
Doesn't sound like they're working right.
Houston, we have a problem. No, but it's so funny. Big day yesterday for, it wasn't a big day, an opportunity for Indiana men's soccer. They go on the road, number 2 in the country, hadn't lost all year since the first game of the year against Wake Forest, number 1 in the country.
9-game winning streak.
But they go down to Kentucky, face number 4 Wildcats. And the Wildcats were ready. Indiana was flat, kind of came out on their heels, and Kentucky punched a goal in the 3rd minute of the game. Shocking. And it was it foretold of things to come. Actually, nothing happened from there on to the 84th or so minute when a second goal by Kentucky off of a penalty kick. Right outside of the box. So that was a bad blow, but that really took a lot of the wind out of their sails, that second goal. And then it was a few minutes later, they got loose for a 3rd goal. But you talk about a big win for Kentucky. I don't know if they'll acknowledge it or not, but that's got to be the biggest win in their program's history.
Yeah.
They've never been ranked in the top 5, and they've never had a top 5 matchup, which they did yesterday, as they are number 4 home against number 2 Indiana, and then they knocked off the second-ranked 8-time national champion Indiana Hoosiers. So,
was Kentucky the better team, or did they just play better last night?
Last night, I mean,
are they? Do you think
they were a better team last
overall?
night? That was for sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think Indiana came out flat. Dude, they're the number 2 team in the country. They're not bad, but they came out flat. They were on their heels. And Kentucky came out really pushing the issue right off the bat, and it caught them on their heels, and they punched them in the mouth and got a goal. But they were the aggressor more, but that's Indiana's game. They are more of a defensive game. They hound you and play unbelievable defense, and they wait for you to make a mistake, which they can usually goad people into doing. Not so much last night. They got beat by the better team last night, that was for sure. But
Indiana had won 20 straight against Kentucky before last night, dating back to 1995.
wow, I did not realize that. Did they get beat 95? Or was that the first time they played?
I believe they probably got beat. I'll make sure.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. So, wow, I didn't know it was that severe.
How was the crowd?
Oh, huge
Nice
crowd.
crowd?
Well, it's like afterwards. We talked to Coach Yeagley afterwards, and he talks about it. You know, Indiana came out flat, and he goes, and this was like a Super Bowl environment for them, and it is. I mean, you've got the Patriots coming to town, man. You know, 8-time national champion, number 2 ranked in the country. Yeah, hadn't beat them since the 90s, since before every one of those kids were in college, were born.
Yeah.
So, gigantic win for Kentucky.
Indiana will be okay.
Yeah, they'll be fine. It sucks to lose, and it really sucks to lose to your rival. And triple dog dare sucks to lose to Kentucky. But it is what it is.
I mean, at least they're going out and challenging themselves with this schedule. I mean, there's no team in the country that can say they played the schedule that Indiana has.
Hell no.
Not even close.
My God. They've already played 3 top 5 teams that I'm aware of. And they are a top 5 team.
Yeah.
That only leaves one top 5 team that
they
they haven't played yet.
They also played number 8, 17, 22.
I mean, yeah, they've got, without a doubt, the most brutal schedule in the country. But that's why they're always good.
Yeah.
Coach Yeagley get them bounced around and get them back to where they need to be. Big show on the program today. It's Terry Hutchins. Hutch is on, as usual. Can't wait for his unabashed enthusiasm. If you follow the show, you know that's an inside joke. Terry is a very, how do I put this?
Resting heartbeat of 2.
Yeah, there you go. Very dry sense of humor. You gotta be on your toes.
He brings the knowledge.
Because he comes flying by, and you're like, oh, what, hey, what was that truck just went by? That was Terry Hudson's humor. Also, Stu Jackson from thehoosier.com on the program today. Tomorrow, holy smokes. Are we allowed to have this much fun tomorrow?
I'm not sure.
I'm a little afraid. Tomorrow, of course, our recruiting expert, Drew Davis from Pigs.com, will be along. Sammy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle will get a final analysis on the Ohio State setup matchup coming on Saturday. But how about this? Hoosier basketball fans? How about Maurice Creek? We'll see what Uncle Mo's up to. Take it a little bit one better than that. Back on the football side. How about Xander Diamont? You think he won't say what he thinks? Come on. Whoop, whoop. Oh, my. That's a huge Friday.
Yeah.
That's a big Friday. Make sure you're with us tomorrow. But I got a big one today, too. Hutch is on the program. Stu Jackson along, as I said. First hour brought to you by Brooks Roofing. The protection you need when Mother Nature strikes. Brooks Roofing, a local contractor doing business since 2006, located right here, Southern Indiana. Check them out at brooksroofingin.com. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now.
And don't forget about the text line. Y'all been quiet this week. 502-414-1450. Let us know what you think.
Get some questions out for Stu Jackson, questions for Terry Hutchins, comments, whatever it may be. Let us know what you're thinking. As I'm enjoying my 1950s style earpiece on today.
They would have been lucky to have those in the 50s.
I'm telling you. Lucky to have them right now.
Megaphone style or not.
It does sound like a 1920s movie going on inside of my head.
You've had worse Thursdays.
I've had worse everything. The Yankees are in the playoffs after they win a one-game series with the Oakland Athletics. But more importantly, from for Major League Baseball, they've got the series they won, and the Yankees and the Red Sox.
It's going to be fun.
Two of the best teams in baseball, but two of the most heated rivals in baseball. Looking forward to that. That should be fun.
A lot of power. A lot of good pitching.
A lot of college football this weekend. We'll get to some of those games. Of course, Indiana taking on the Ohio State University. And, I was thinking about this yesterday. Somebody messaged me and asked me what shot Indiana had against Ohio State. And I always, not purposely, but just always seems like find a way to say, well, if this were to happen and this were to happen and they did this, they got an outside shot. I can't find that path. It does not exist. The guy that asked me what it was Indiana's shot to win, I honestly wrote back 0.00%. They have no chance whatsoever. I mean zero. They put those prognostications on your phone, ESPN, 92%. This is a 100%er.
Yeah.
They cannot lose this game. The only way they could lose this game, the only way, is if in the middle of it turns out that the former assistant coach was back calling plays that was fired, and they
Zach Smith?
Yes. And he hijacks the play calling, and they have to forfeit the game. That is the only way possible Ohio State can lose this game to Indiana.
Probably not all that far off.
Xander Diamont went to Ohio State, and Indiana was competitive. I don't think they're going to be competitive. Winning? No. No chance. Can they even be competitive in this game?
I don't know. I feel like they've been competitive with Ohio State.
They have been.
As of late.
They have been. I just said Xander Diamont was competitive. Who was our quarterback? The quarterback they lost to Philadelphia. Nate Sudfeld. Always competitive under him there. Tevin Coleman ripped off hundreds of yards against him. That was them. That was not this offense that could not get 4 yards against Rutgers. Nope. Don't see it happening. We got a lot on the program today. Fire up on the text line. Let us know what's going on and what's happening in your world. Questions, thoughts. 502-414-1450. We've got plenty coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Terry Hutchins, Stu Jackson. Make sure you stay with us. We're coming right back.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle sitting in with you, joined now by Matt Weaver from Peaks.com. Matt, how's it going, brother?
I'm doing okay. How you doing?
Cannot complain as we have hit the midpoint of the week. Hump Day is here, and we've got more games coming up this weekend. unfortunately for Indiana, they have a game against one of, if not the most talented team in the country in the Ohio State Buckeyes, as the number 2 team will await Indiana at the Horseshoe.
Yeah, it's. I guess the one silver lining you might have for Indiana is they had such an emotional and hard-fought game this past Saturday up, in Happy Valley at Penn State. That maybe you're hoping for a little bit of a letdown, but even with a letdown, they're still so good that it's going to be really tough. I mean, I think this week you never hate to go in saying, kind of giving up or whatever. But I think this week's about survival. Try to come out of it as healthy as possible. Don't get too banged up, and try to give them your best shot and move on to Iowa.
Yeah, how hard is that going to do when you're already banged up? Whop Filliard, Luke Timian already sidelined with injuries. I'm sure there's others as well, but they're already kind of banged up. The line has not been holding so well. It's going to be tricky to get through just to get to Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their game plan is for that. For me, I mean, as a coach, you never want to wave the white flag. Obviously, I mean, you want to try to go in, you want to try to win every game, no matter how hard it's going to be. But I think you got to think big picture too. For me, I would think big picture with guys like Whop and Timian. And if they're a little iffy or a little questionable, I'd hold them out. I mean, I don't, if you hurt them worse and then they're not available for a game against Iowa, which is winnable, that could come back to bite you. So, I mean, to me, if a guy can play and is not in danger of really making it worse, then play him. But if you're a questionable, from my point of view, I would hold guys back if I could.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way I would play those guys in this game. They've gone from being a plus 20-point favorite on the road, the biggest spread they've had in 20 years, or plus 17 rather, to a 25-point underdog the following week. That doesn't happen very often.
No, that's an awful monumental swing. But you're going from probably the worst. I don't think it's probably. I think that Rutgers is the worst team in the conference. To there's no doubt that Ohio State, or at least they seem to be. I mean, they beat Penn State, and I think I think it's pretty safe to say they're the best team in the conference. So that swing is. It just shows it shows the disparity between the top and bottom of the Big Ten.
Right, and then Indiana, it's got to be tough for them going into being that favorite and then going in to play the worst team and one of the worst teams in football and basically laying an egg. And now you got to face a daunting task on the road again in front of another 110,000 people. It's going to be a rough day.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I don't. We can motivate. You can have all the motivation you want, and Ohio State can have as much of a letdown as you want. The bottom line is their talent level is just off the charts. I mean, they're so talented everywhere. I mean, they lose Nick Bosa and they bring in a guy like that Chase Young who made a bunch of plays against Penn State, made the game-winning tackle on the 4th and 5 call. When Penn State ran the ball. I mean, they've just got guys waiting that are just almost as good as the guy in front of them. And the guy in front of him is probably an All-American type player. So, as far as the Rutgers game, I thought the first half, I thought the offense was. There were some nice play calls. They did some different things, some creative things. We saw they were going to do a halfback throw with Reese, and he ended up getting 18 yards out of it when nobody was open. They tried a flea flicker, but then in the second half, it was just not enjoyable to watch. It was bad football.
Yeah, and let me go back for a second to those trick plays. I remember when they ran them. I think they ran back-to-back trick plays, and if not, it was 2 out of 3 plays. But that's the first time I remember seeing anything like that all year, and the first thing that dawned on me was, wow, this probably could have been useful in the Michigan State game, not in a game you're up 3 touchdowns on the worst team in football. I don't get that. What in the world? Why wouldn't you use that when you really could use it?
It's a great question, and I was thinking the same thing. I mean, part of me was like, okay, this is nice. You're doing something a little bit different, but then part of me was like, the way Michigan State was playing you last week with, the week before, as aggressive as their front seven was being, running some kind of a double reverse where you have Reese throwing the ball might have really worked because they were really being, really coming after you, coming off the edges and pinning the ears back. The flea flicker might have worked too because, they were basically walking their safeties up and you might have got somebody behind them. But, Yeah, so I guess on the one hand, I guess it was nice to see it. I just don't understand why he showed it against Rutgers, especially when it was a 24/7 game. But that's the coach's decision.
And that's something that some plays that I think would have been handy to have in your pocket for, say, the Iowa game, a game that's winnable and that you're gonna need everything you can use to win. It's just the play calling is just continues to baffle the mind. But then there's reasoning, I guess, for the very, very morbid play in the second half. In essence, was protecting Ramsey. What the hell are they going to do this week for 4 quarters?
Yeah, I mean, request that they have a running clock. I'm not really sure what you can request NFL type rules where even on first downs the clock keeps running. I'm not sure. I mean, I think the other thing about the Rutgers game that to me was so baffling, and me and you have talked about this off air before, is you can come out 24/7, you get the ball to start the second half on the road against the worst team, and maybe Power 5 worst team. I think they are, but definitely the worst team in the Big Ten. That's the perfect spot to start Michael Penix to start the second half. Even if it goes sideways, he has a bad throw or something happens, you still got a 3-score lead. I don't, and I've said it. To me, it looks like the red shirt in him. I personally don't understand that decision. If you're Indiana and you have a talent like Michael Penix at quarterback, the only reason why you redshirt him is when the other guy is, that much more, that talented or more, and that's not the case. I mean, if you think that Peyton Ramsey is going to be your starting quarterback for the next couple of years, I disagree with that. I 100%. I don't see that happening. So to me, getting him these snaps this year is really valuable, and that was a perfect opportunity to do it. I don't understand it, but like I said, it's the coach's decision. Yeah,
that's the one thing I've brought up is not only this year, I think that they would have been a wash this year. I don't think that maybe they may have won an extra game. Who knows? They may have done a little bit better. But it's next year. They would have been so far ahead for next year. And now they're going to be starting at ground zero because everyone's expecting Penix to be that guy in the future. But why not now? Because he would have been so much further along next year had he gotten all these snaps.
Yeah, and I'm not. I mean, I've said I think he could. To me, I thought he was good enough to be the starter, but I was okay with him not. But to me, you've got to get him. You got to get him in almost every game, and that was the perfect opportunity. I mean, like I said, 24/7. You get the ball to start the second half. And I come out and let him do his thing. And you mentioned the play calling. I mean, I love Tom Allen. I think he does a lot of great things, but sometimes I think you trust your defense a little bit too much. I mean, you're up 24/7. You got your foot on their neck. You got to go ahead and stomp down on it and in that game. You got to come out playing the way you did the first half and throwing the ball a little bit and being ultra aggressive. They ran the ball 4 straight times. On the first drive, they went 3 and out, and then ran it a 4th straight time when they got the ball back again. And it just kind of, the team kind of went into like a fog almost, and gave Rutgers a little bit of life. And luckily Rutgers was so bad that they made it interesting, but they weren't able to complete the comeback. But against better teams, that's if you fortunate enough to get that kind of a lead against a better team, that's going to cost you a game.
Talking with Matt Weaver from Pigs.com, and I mentioned also they have played the absolute easiest part of their schedule. There is not an easy game left. I mean, Minnesota would be the easiest, and that's on the road. So that's about as easy as it's going to get from there out. Maryland coming in, I see that as a toss-up game now.
Yeah, and the Minnesota game, I would agree with you on that. They're actually kind of similar to Indiana. They're playing kind of a quarterback where they're conservative on offense. They try to run the ball. Their defense is pretty decent. They've lost some guys. The tough thing about that Minnesota game is it's a Friday night game, so it's a short week after you play Penn State at home, which could be a physically tough game. And Penn State's obviously super talented. The Maryland game, they're kind of a Jekyll and Hyde schizophrenic team. You don't know what you're going to get from week to week, but the thing that they can do is they can be explosive. I mean, they've got some guys that they can take it to the house, some running backs, their quarterback's got a big arm. They've got some guys who can make plays. So the thing is, if offensively, if you're going 3 and out and you give them a bunch of possessions, you can only ask your defense to hold up so many times. I mean, football nowadays is geared towards offense. It's geared towards scoring. The more times an offense is on the field, at some point they're going to take advantage of that and they're going to score. So If Peyton Ramsey's your quarterback, so be it. But you got to be a little bit more aggressive. You've got. I mean, Rutgers probably threw the ball downfield, threw more deep shots in that game against IU than Indiana has the entire season. I mean, I think that's. I didn't count it, but I would guess that's true. And that's kind of just boggling to me. You've got to take some shots. At some point, if Ramsey's not willing to take a shot, then you got to put a guy in there who will take the shot. You've got to throw the ball downfield. You can't keep running 5 and 8 yard crossing routes. It's just not going to work. And this week, you run those plays, and there's going to be some pick sixes.
Oh, not only that. And I mentioned the Ohio State's quarterback. He's throwing 70%, but I promise you, he's not averaging 8 yards a throw. They're going down the field and stretching things out. But this is I don't see any path to any chance here in Ohio State. But the Iowa game to me is huge because that is a game. If they can steal that game, that takes so much pressure off of the team, off of Tom Allen. But to do that, they cannot play Mike DeBoring football. They have got to open up the offense. There's no way they're going to play them straight up, throwing the ball 5 yards at a time and winning a game against a solid Big Ten team like Iowa.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to try to run the ball. I get that, but sometimes sometimes you got to use the pass to set up the run. You got to soften people up a little bit. And Iowa their front seven is going to be pretty good. I mean, they had some graduation, but from last year, and they had a good defense. But the guys that are playing pretty well. They've been pretty good defensively, like they normally are. And so when you play them, you're going to have to come out and try to throw the ball. And it's interesting you mentioned the 70% completion. I think Peyton Ramsey's like top 2 or 3 in the Big Ten in completion percentage, but he's 12th in yards per completion out of 14 quarterbacks. That's, I mean, I'm not saying you have to be in the top
pathetic.
3, man. You should be in the top half. If you're complete 70%, you should be in the top half as far as how many yards you're getting per completion.
Yeah, that's terrible. But talk about the running game, a potential jolt. Word of Morgan Ellison has been practicing with the team for maybe a week or so or longer. I remember hearing that. But no word on anything in his status right now. But, man, that would be huge for Indiana to get him back.
Yeah, it would. And, I think one thing that was disappointing, but one of the most disappointing things on Saturday at Rutgers was I didn't feel like – it seemed like Stevie Scott was kind of going through the motions. Maybe it was a freshman thing. But you would think, he was committed to Rutgers. They kind of had a falling out. You would have thought he's obviously a New York guy, so from that area. You would have thought he'd been super fired up, and I just thought he was. I don't know. Maybe there's something up going on, but he just did not seem like the Stevie Scott that we saw against Virginia, and obviously against other teams. I just thought he didn't run maybe as hard as he has in the past, but put another guy out there. If you can get a Morgan Ellison back, and he's. He's buying in and doing what he needs to do, then, obviously we see what he could do when he gets a chance. He ran for almost 800 yards, 700 something last year as a true freshman. So it'd be a nice 1-2 punch and definitely give you some depth at a position where guys obviously get banged up.
Matt Weaver from Pigs.com. We appreciate you, brother. Look forward to seeing you up in Columbus.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a good week.
Thank you. Matt Weaver from Pigs.com. Make sure you check out his information there and the rest of the coverage of the Hoosiers as Indiana taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes this weekend, and we'll all have complete coverage for you on that. Coming up on the program yet, Alex Gleitman from 247 Sports in Columbus will join us. Of course, almost threw a mind blank. Matt was brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. With hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Stay with us. We've got a lot more coming up. As I said, Alex Gleitman from 247 Sports. He's with us next here on Indiana Sports Beat.
Got a problem with your big truck? Kentuckiana's Premier Truck Center is here to help. For over 30 years, truck drivers and fleet operators have depended on their great service center off I-65 in Clarksville. And now you can get the same level of service, repairs, and parts selection that's been offered for generations and save on bridge tolls with their new location on the Outer Loop in South Louisville. They're an authorized Mack, Volvo, and Hino dealer and service center but they service all makes and models of trucks. Kentuckiana's premier truck center.
This hour of Indiana Sports Beat is brought to you by Brooks Roofing. Brooks Roofing is an Indiana contractor with over a decade of service. Find Brooks Roofing at brooksroofingin.com. They're probably working in your neighborhood right now. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Thursday, October 4th. I don't know why I got that written down. Did it again. We're in October. I can't believe it's September, much less October. That's
Right.
why. Great program today, as always. Terry Hutchins will be coming along. Stu Jackson from thehoosier.com. Make sure you're all along tomorrow. Big Friday, as always. Bigger than normal. Drew Davis, our recruiting guy from Pigs.com, stops by, as does Sammy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle. We'll get a last-minute preview on the Ohio State game. But how about Maurice Creek, former Hoosier basketball player? He'll be visiting with us, as will Zender Diamond.
Big Friday.
Big Friday. Looking forward to it all. A lot of games this weekend. I was looking over the point spread on a lot of them just for the fun, not for betting. Just it gives you an idea on who's sucking and who's, rolling. Louisville, they're at home and they're a 4.5 point underdog at home to Georgia Tech.
Oof.
Indiana, after being a 17-point favorite on the road last week, is now a 25-point underdog on the road. That same team that they beat, Rutgers, where they were a 17-point favorite and they won by 7. If Rutgers is definitely one of the worst teams, but as is Illinois. I don't know who's worse. We'll find out because they play this weekend. Illinois is at Rutgers. What do you think the spread is?
Well, I just looked at it, so I can't fairly say.
All right, so it's negative. Illinois is giving up 5 points. At Rutgers. Big game, Texas and Oklahoma. The Sooners are a 7.5-point favorite in that game. That ought to be a game. Texas has kind of gotten their stuff back together after initially losing to Maryland at the start of the season.
Undefeated if it wasn't for that.
Maryland, speaking of the Terrapins, Coach Matt Canada, former Hoosier, they go up to the Big House where they are a 17.5-point underdog to the Wolverines.
Sounds about right.
Northwestern, who last week gave Michigan all they wanted, had them on the ropes the entire game. I don't know how they lost that game. They go to Michigan State where they were a 10.5-point underdog. How about Alabama? They're at Arkansas. Did you look at the spread on that one?
I did not. At Arkansas?
Yeah, at Arkansas.
Well, yeah, maybe 27.
35.
Oof.
35 points.
Yeah, and they'll probably shatter that.
Now, Clemson, they're number 4. They're at Wake Forest this week. They have their quarterback, the freshman. He's back, the guy that they named the starter. And because of that, they are a 19-point favorite.
Wow.
Miami is a 14-point favorite at home against Florida State. Florida State coming off a win over Louisville. The Battle of the Toilet Bowl, I think that must have been. Which you can't believe you're saying that. Two teams that 2 years ago were top of the college world. Oklahoma State's a 10-point favorite over Iowa State. Iowa, they're plugging along, man. They're 3-1 on the season. They have to travel to Minnesota where they're a 7.5-point favorite.
Yeah, that Iowa game looks a little harder now than it did at the beginning of the season. The more they continue to win.
Well, I mean, I expected that somewhat, but Well, we'll find out. That's a totally winnable game. That is what's so disheartening about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Big game this weekend, one of the biggest games of the weekend. LSU travels to the Swamp, take on the Gators. LSU's a 2.5-point favorite in that game on the road.
I like LSU there.
LSU's number 5.
Yeah.
Are they that good?
They're pretty good.
Are they that good? I just don't trust.
I'm not a big fan of Ed Orgeron. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on his coaching abilities yet down there and he likes that 4-day-old chicken in the
He's feeding the
gas
team.
stations.
Feeding the team gumbo. Life's good if you're an LSU fan. They're going to continue to roll.
Yeah, just not so.
They're not playoff good, but they're good.
Yeah, I know they're not playoff good.
Now they're getting close at number 5.
That ain't
Just one team stumble, they're in.
It's not going to last. That won't last. They've got to play some people.
Yeah.
They're in the same division as Alabama, so they have to play Alabama. They have to play Auburn. Doubt that they have Georgia scheduled, but
I do have Georgia, actually.
oh, as I said, that will change.
They already played Auburn and beat them. But yeah, they got Florida this weekend, then Georgia.
Florida's not that much.
Alabama.
Kentucky went down there and beat Florida, so they're not that much. Speaking of Kentucky, there's a huge game for them. They're up to number 13. I don't think that they're that good, but I mean, I think they're having a good season and they deserve to be ranked. I think that's a little too high, but anyway, we'll find out. They go down to take on Jimbo Fisher, the Aggies, College Station, Texas A&M hosting Kentucky this weekend. I think Texas A&M wins that game.
What does Kentucky have to do in that game to make you a Kentucky believer?
Win.
Or you just don't have it in your blood to be a
But
Kentucky
Texas A&M's
believer?
3-2, man. They're not a juggernaut.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Kentucky's schedule is they have nobody left.
I don't know if you remember at the beginning of the year, I just happened to look at Kentucky's schedule for no reason and noticed that I didn't know that they had a decent team, but I'm like, wow, they got a cakewalk of a schedule.
Yeah.
For being in the SEC, they have to have the easiest schedule you could possibly have.
Oh, and that's before we knew Louisville was going to be garbage.
For being in the SEC, I cannot believe how easy their schedule is. The toughest game they have is LSU and Georgia. Georgia's a divisional game. LSU is cross-divisional.
No, they don't play LSU.
I thought they played LSU this year.
Nope. They've got Texas A&M, Vandy, Missouri, Georgia, Tennessee. Well, they have a game against Middle Tennessee State. I don't remember that being a thing. Maybe, let me look that up.
You sure you looked at the right year?
It says 2018, but you know what happens when I trust ESPN. Let me look at the school's schedule. Yeah, because I think I remember hearing that they play LSU as well.
Auburn's on the road. Speaking of Auburn, they're on the road to Mississippi State. They're 4-1. Mississippi State's 3-2. They're only a 4-point favorite. Notre Dame on the road this weekend at Virginia Tech, where they're favored by a touchdown. Notre Dame's 5-0, ranked number 6. Notre Dame is definitely not that damn good.
There's some talk of them getting in the playoffs.
Well, it's because they got a cakewalk schedule.
Yeah.
They've got nobody. After Virginia Tech, I think they play the Hoosier Hills Conference for the rest of the year, other than USC at the end, but USC's nobody.
They'd probably struggle with Columbus East.
They give them a game. Maybe the toughest game they'd get.
The Kentucky website, by the way, is showing Middle Tennessee as well. Second to last game of the year.
Wow, two non-conference games back-to-back to end the year.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And no LSU. So lucky.
So they just have to play Georgia.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, I mean, you were talking about...
What is their strength of schedule? I wonder what their strength of schedule is.
Yeah. Who knows? But you were talking about their schedule, and before even the season started, we would have looked at that Louisville game and probably thought that might be one of the tougher games they have to play all year. Now it's looking like the easiest.
Oh, it will be. They'll crush Louisville this year. Yeah, they'll crush Louisville for sure.
Louisville won't have any heart left by then.
I don't know if they have any right now.
Sure.
Tom Allen had his radio show last night talking about this week's games. The Hoosiers taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes. A daunting task, nonetheless.
No doubt.
The toughest game that they will have played in quite some time. Tougher than last year. They were better equipped last year.
Oh, and they were at home last year. And it was the first game of the year.
This is the toughest game they've played in a minute. Here's Coach Allen talking on his radio show last night.
It's talking about the defense and how it's improving and hasn't continued to improve.
Yeah, and that's where it's exciting to see, and we got a lot of guys involved, and sometimes I look at the film and freeze it and just count how many freshmen we have on the field at one time, and there's a bunch out there between redshirt freshmen, true freshmen, and those guys are making plays, and so, but with that comes growing pains, and I think you've seen the continual growth, and they play really, really hard, and the more they play together and the more they learn the system, the better they're going to play, and we coach them hard, and they practice hard, and we tackle pretty well. We missed a couple. That was one third down we got where we didn't finish the tackle, but overall we tackled pretty well, and we're getting better. We work on that every single day. We're in pads, and so I just think that it's an area that we want to be. The reason why we win games is playing great defense, and we didn't play very good the first game, and I think it's been a gradual growth since then.
Obviously, one of the key components to defensive play is how aggressive you are. This team seems to be more aggressive, maybe even more so than last year's team.
Yeah, and you need to be, and I just think that that's the mindset we built. I think now you're starting to see more of the culture of the defense that we've established here and the way we want our kids to play, how you're going to practice, how you're going to play, what's your identity as a defense, and how you're going to look on game day, and that to me is a big part of it. We're attack mode every thing that we do, and that's my personality. That's the way I want us to play, and they've taken to that, and I just think that some of these guys have been in the system for 3 years now. Some of these younger guys, maybe the second year, and some guys it's their first year, but they've walked into that this is the expectation. You put the film up, this is how the guys play, and I think we do have, and I said this too in the offseason, that we'll be young and we'll have more depth, but we're going to have some more speed and athleticism than we've had in the past, and that speed and athleticism gets to the ball quicker and pursues better and creates more takeaways, and we should have had a pick six. We dropped one of those that we can't do, and so I just think that those are kind of things we just got to keep working because we got a big challenge ahead of us this weekend, but in that area. But at the same time, I think you're seeing the benefits of a system that's now become this is how we're going to play at Indiana.
All right. Coach Allen all revved up.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking. You think he drinks coffee at all? Whew, my God.
I need a nap.
He talks so fast.
Can you get some oxygen? He's got me wore out. I feel like I just ran around the building 4 or 5 times. Like, come on, man, stop. Wow, he's revved up.
Yeah, he's like a little Energizer bunny.
Energizer bunny on crack. Man, all jacked up, no place to go.
Urban Meyer was also asked about Indiana's defense. He gave an answer, a brief answer, but an answer nonetheless.
Well, they've got a bunch of new starters. Their scheme is outstanding. I think they're very well coached, and they got answers for everything. That's what we're just knee deep in it now, but that's my initial reaction. And obviously very good players.
Knee deep in it. That's about as far as they have to go.
Right.
They have a very prolific offense. They have the quarterback that they have not had since Kevin Wilson has been there. This guy can throw the ball. Kevin Wilson likes to throw the ball. Now, say what you will about Kevin Wilson and his character. I'm not talking about that. From a football standpoint, man, IU was fun when he was calling the plays. Definitely was not a boring style of offense.
No.
Now, they had no defense, of course, but it would be nice to have an offensive coordinator of that nature.
Yeah, and I just don't understand it. Well, why not? Just let it fly. Just get aggressive. You're at Indiana.
Here's the deal, in my humble opinion. Tom Allen's in his second year. He is always, as all coaches are, worried about job security. He did not make a bowl game in his first year. He should have made a bowl game in his first year. There's no reason for them to not have made that bowl game this year. So guess what? Not making a bowl game this year is not an option for him. That would not bode well in your own mind for job security. So, reaching a bowl game is first and foremost. It doesn't matter if they, I think that they are looking at it as it does not matter if we go 6-6 as long as we are in a bowl game. I think that's I don't like that approach. I think they could have made a bowl game regardless, but I think they could have been more than they're going to be. But that's okay. That's just an opinion. It doesn't make it right. But
yeah, there's a lot of people on the side of the fence of, hey, Indiana doesn't make bowl games very often. If we make a bowl game here, I'm content. That's fine. I'm good with Tom Allen.
And that's crap. They went to 3 straight bowl games.
Yeah.
Should have been 4 last year. And now they're on the fence. Well, not on the fence. They're 4-1, but knowing what's in front of them,
when it's all said and done,
it's going to be on the fence. And again, I don't think that it should have been. I think that they would be further along. But that's what I think. Let us know what you think. 502-414-1450 is the text line. Hit us up. Make sure you like or follow us on Facebook. You could also find the show podcast replay on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, or IndianaSportsBeat.com, of course. So you don't miss a thing. Make sure you get exclusive coverage of the Hoosiers as Indiana Sports Beat and only Indiana Sports Beat gives you that exclusive coverage. Who was down at the soccer game last night? Who was the only media outlet covering Indiana? Oh, that would be Indiana Sports Beat. Thank you very much.
IDS was there too, by the way.
That's an Indiana University outpost.
True.
Mainstream media, baby. Only mainstream media source.
Unfortunate outcome for you.
Yeah.
Was there anything positive you took away from it?
Nope.
Any good shots on goal?
Nope.
No good crosses?
Nope.
No good Trey Mew saves?
Nope. Gave up 3 goals.
No good substitutions?
Nope. And the food wasn't that great. You got a meal voucher for $6 instead of
what?
Having food, which meant a couple of
$6.
A couple of hot dogs.
If that.
I'm like,
you were able to get 2 hot dogs out of that?
Well,
did they at least have drinks?
Yeah, I don't know that they were supposed to be provided, but they were there. There was a refrigerator that had drinks in it. But I also bought some my favorite little candy. What is it that I always get?
Skittles.
Skittles. Left them downstairs on the stupid condiment area. Was upstairs. I was furious.
You didn't go back down to check?
I
figured
did.
Somebody already snatched them?
Yeah, I kind of looked over the edge, and I think they were gone. Big program coming up today. Terry Hutchins is on the show. Stu Jackson, can't speak, from Hoosier.com. Huge show tomorrow. Xander Diamont and Maurice Creek, both on the program. You can't beat it. We've got to take a break right now. But coming up the next hour, Terry Hutchins and Stu Jackson. Stay tuned here on Indiana Sports Beat.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
This hour of Indiana Sports Beat is brought to you by Kentucky and His Premier Truck Center. With locations in Louisville and Clarksville, sales or service, they've got you covered. Kentucky and His Premier Truck Center. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle here on this Thursday, October the 4th, 2018. Justin Kalen, high top the crew chief's box.
That's right.
While you're up there, let's hear the headlines.
All righty. Let me stop Joan Jett here. All right, here are your headlines for this October 4th on this Thursday, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. Yankees defeat the Oakland Athletics 7-2 last night in the American League Wild Card. Yankees advance to the divisional round to take on the Red Sox. Baseball playoffs continue tonight as the Rockies and the Brewers and the Braves and Dodgers set to square off on the National League side. Colts and Patriots set to play tonight in Thursday Night Football, and former Clemson running back C.J. Fuller dies yesterday at the age of 22. Those are your headlines for this Thursday, October 4th, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. Make sure you stop in for your hot breakfast, fill your gas tank, or hit up the daily lunch special, $4.99 today. Beans, fried potatoes, and cornbread.
And thanks a lot for tuning us in here on Indiana Sports Beat, taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking us along for the ride. Give us a shout out on the text line. Let us know what you're thinking. If you got any questions coming up for Terry Hutchins or Stu Jackson, that number is 502-414-1450. This hour is brought to you by
Premier,
Kentucky and His Premier Truck Center. Whether it's one truck or the entire fleet, Kentucky and His Premier Truck Center has your company covered for sales and or service. Locations in Louisville and Clarksville, Indiana. Specialists in Hino, Volvo, Cummings, and Mack. But they handle everything.
Couple of football texts to the text line. Once again, that number 502-414-1450. If you want to jump in on the conversation, JR texts in and says, you have to wait until Maryland, Minnesota, Purdue, and Iowa before we can project on the season.
What?
Before we can project this season.
No, I heard the last four words. What was the entire text?
You have to wait until Maryland, Minnesota, Purdue, and Iowa. Basically.
Well, that's the entire season.
Almost, yeah.
And yes, but not to project you don't. No, that's what
it's the 4 games that Indiana has a shot in.
I understand that. But that's why it's called a projection. Yeah. And I don't project that they beat Purdue. Now, I think that the Jeff Brom will just destroy them. Hopefully that changes. If my mind changes, I'll tell you. And it's going to be judged solely on what the offense does, on how the team plays. They play like they played last week and they laid an egg. Hell, I don't think they could beat New Albany or Floyd Central.
I think, I don't know. I just don't see a way where Indiana loses to Purdue, especially that game being at home.
Huh? Are you kidding me?
Because the offense last week didn't fall flat. It just fell flat in the second half.
It fell flat on its face.
The first half, the offense looked phenomenal. You can't say it didn't.
It
good. Looked fantastic.
Uh-huh. Have you seen them play 4 quarters one time this year? Once.
No, but they haven't.
Have you seen him go one game without calling the most idiotic plays you've ever seen? Not once.
They haven't had to, though. And that's not that I'm making excuses why they haven't been playing complete games, but I mean, in all honesty, they haven't had to play a complete game yet.
Michigan State.
Yeah, other than that.
Oh, other than that. Only than the only good team they played this year. The only good team.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think that game was turned on its heels early because of that interception. I think that just changed everything.
They were right. They were behind, and they were on their heels that whole game for sure. But they were in it.
Yeah.
They just kind of kept shooting. They couldn't get anything going. Couldn't get a running game going. If you don't have a running game, you got nothing.
Yeah.
And their running game, they didn't have a running game against Rutgers.
Josh also texted in and asked if Tom Allen misses a bowl game this season and next season, will he be back for year 4?
Man, that's a lot of speculation. This season and next season, that's too much speculation.
Yeah.
I think you go this season. If they miss a bowl game, yes, he's coming back. There's no way they're going to fire him. That's so devastating to a program. When you change head coaches in football, it is like no other sport. It is look at Scott Frost at Nebraska. You want a great example? Do you think Scott Frost forgot how to coach last year, taking Central Florida to an undefeated season, including a win over Auburn in the bowl game? Did he coach them in the bowl game? He did, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. You think that he forgot how to coach because he went to Nebraska? I don't think so. Pretty sure he didn't. But he's 0-4.
A bad 0-4.
A bad 0-4. And he's 0-4 in Nebraska. But he didn't forget how to coach. What were we talking about before I got off that tangent?
No, you're still on it. I mean, the turnover in football when you have a new head coach is just tougher to deal with than any other sport. Not only do you have more players, but I mean, you've got more positions.
You've got 100 guys that you're dealing with. 100. You have to evaluate those guys now. Now, it doesn't matter what they were evaluated at before, because you're going to bring in your own schemes, offensive and defensive, and things are going to change. Look at Archie Miller coming in. Look at what the defense looked like last year in the beginning of the year, how badly it sucked. And at the end of the year, they had the highest defensive
efficiency.
Yeah, good gosh. Whew.
You're struggling today.
Too early, I'm telling you. That change took an entire season and the preseason to get to. That's months and months.
Well, and you can argue on the football side of things when you have a new head coach turnover. I mentioned it a little bit yesterday, but they're still trying to figure some stuff out, and they're in year 2. I mean, so I think Tom Allen and the staff, I mean, they're still trying to work out some kinks and figure out how the best, you know what I'm saying, like the best way to go about things for them and their staff.
You mean like play calling?
No.
Because they haven't gotten to that point yet.
That'd be one example, yeah.
Well, that one doesn't seem like it's improved much. And, you know, I was reading about David Bell. He's being recruited by everybody around here.
Yeah.
Every swinging Big Ten team has offered him. I think he ends up at Penn State.
Penn State?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I think it's either Penn State or Purdue.
Not Indiana.
Hell no. Why in the world would he come to Indiana? After watching this offense this year, do you know what position he plays?
Wide receiver.
Yeah. How busy have those guys been this year for Indiana?
Sure.
Early on, Donovan Hale, Westbrook here and there, but it's been Luke Timian, the mid-range, the short-range guy. He gets hurt. Who is it next? Walt Filliar, who filled in for Luke Timian. Not Westbrook, not Donovan Hale. That's because they're further than 7 yards downfield. He can't see them. Then wait a minute. Then Wop gets hurt. And Jay Sean is pressed into service into that position. All of a sudden, Jay Sean's a big receiver. That's 3 different guys, but not named Westbrook, not named Donovan Hale, that are catching passes by the boatloads. Because they might as well just go out there and stand around and look. I'm assuming their patterns call for them to go further than 7 yards, which puts them out of the running for catching a football. At least playing for Indiana right now.
Well, that's the thing with both of those guys is they're tall. Westbrook is, 6'3", 6'4"? I mean, he's...
Well, my point is back to David Bell.
Yeah.
Why the hell would he come to Indiana? He's a receiver.
Yeah, I was just going to make the point that, I mean, you can take the height of Westbrook and Hale and use it even 7-8 yards down the field like you're doing now. But, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Their routes call them to go deeper down the field. Quarterback can't get it there. So,
wasting half your offensive output, wasting part of your weaponry.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. These defensive coaches have 5 games of tape on Peyton Ramsey. Pretty simple to figure out.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
It's like Alex Gleitzius said yesterday. I mean,
he's going to start seeing a lot more pressure. They're going to be in his face because they know he's not throwing the ball deep. They're going to come after him. If you don't have a running game going and they're coming after, I don't know what's going to happen.
They'll have to try to rely on that defense. Slow them down somehow, some way. Not going to be easy.
That's going to be tough against Ohio State, I'll tell you that. And it's not because Indiana's defense is not playing well. They have been. This is a juggernaut, man.
Yeah.
I was talking earlier that this is a quarterback Kevin Wilson has not had since he's been at Ohio State. This dude can throw the ball. He's hitting at 70%. He can get it downfield. They've got the best 1-2 running game in the country. This is going to be a tough test for Indiana all the way around.
Just hope it doesn't get ugly.
That's a very possibility. We'll find out. Let's talk to Stu Jackson about it and Terry Hutchins. We'll do that when we come back on Indiana Sports Beat. Stay tuned.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Today's guest is brought to you by Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when Mother Nature strikes. BrooksRoofingIN.com. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Speed with Jim Coyle sitting in with you. Now joined by Stu Jackson from thehoosier.com. Stu, how are you, friend?
Hey, Jim, I'm doing great. How about you?
Can't complain. Got in a little late last night, traveled to Lexington for the soccer game, Indiana visiting Kentucky, and unfortunately they took it on the chin last night, 3-0 to the number 4 Wildcats.
Yeah, they've had a pretty special season so far. Few bumps here and there, but I'm sure Coach Yeagley will have those guys ready here soon.
Absolutely. Indiana football team this weekend. The job gets a little tougher. It had a bad weekend last week. They won last week. They go 4-1 with a win up in Rutgers, but they didn't do it in convincing fashion, and now you have to follow that up by playing what arguably is one of the 2 best teams in the entire country.
Yeah, there's no question this is going to be a really challenging game. Probably, the most challenging environment they'll play all year next to, playing at Michigan in mid-November. I mean, this is the kind of game that, I know that players and coaches, that we talked to this week are saying that it's the biggest game because it's the next game. But, I mean, this is one of those games that, if you're Indiana, it's sort of a measuring stick type of game as far as the progress you've made in terms of, development and being able to finish and whatnot, because, especially against Ohio State, at least when it's been in Bloomington, these games have always been, really competitive and until Ohio State's gotten some separation in the, late in the second half. And so, for Indiana, I mean, especially playing in Columbus and whatnot, I think this is going to be, this is going to be something that, they're really going to have to, they'll learn a lot from this game. I'll say that, regardless of the result, because this is going to be probably the strongest team they'll face all year, since Ohio State's, not only is Ohio State number 3 in the polls, but just with the talent they have and everything else.
Yeah, it's going to be, and on both sides of the ball. The offense that Ohio State possesses this year, maybe one of the best they've had, definitely since Kevin Wilson has been there, and he has a quarterback that he hasn't been since he was. J.T. Barrett was a good quarterback, but not the Kevin Wilson style that he likes to throw the ball and get loose with that offense. And he has a guy that he's throwing 70%. Everybody's talking about Peyton Ramsey throwing 72%, but he's hitting it at 7-8 yards a clip. This guy's throwing the ball down the field and still hitting at 70%. And they've got a 1-2 combination at running back, maybe the best in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you mentioning, Dwayne Haskins, that's Ohio State's starting quarterback. One of the things that Tom Allen mentioned on his radio show last night was that, Haskins is kind of he's a true passer that, that offense hasn't had, at least in recent years. And so, or at least compared to, what they had in J.T. Barrett. And so, as a result, you've got a guy who's more of a true passer with a little bit of a stronger arm. And so that's, made a big difference as far as, what Ohio State's able to do offensively with, like you mentioned, the ability to take shots downfield and whatnot. And then you look at the other part of the backfield, you've got, J.K. Dobbins, who, was outstanding last year and has, essentially picked up right where he left off. And then Mike Weber, who's more of a, big bruising kind of running back, sort of a, lightning and thunder, or thunder and lightning, if you will, kind of combination there. So there's no question those guys have the Indiana defense's full attention, as they continue to prepare for Saturday.
And as Indiana's defense has played well, and they've gotten better, they haven't been tested like they're going to be tested Saturday, both against the run and the pass at the same time. They haven't been tested with the run like they're going to be tested, or the pass like they're going to be tested, and especially with those combined, that's going to be a busy, busy day for that defense.
Yeah, I think by the time the end of the season arrives, I think you're going to look at this game and say that this is the fastest team that Indiana will have played all year. Just when you look at the speed of, not only Ohio State's, receivers and running backs, but just, their skill position players overall, and, even, just anywhere on the roster, really. This is going to be, the team that, has the most speed, and quickness and whatnot, and maybe even athletic ability. Not a lot of teams have tested Indiana deep, and I think that will change on Saturday. I think, especially with, Haskins' arm strength and, and his ability to, his receivers deep downfield. I think you're going to, see Ohio State try to, test Indiana with that, which in turn I think will be of course, a huge test for Indiana's secondary as well. I think it's going to be really critical for, John Crawford, this, IU starting safety who started every game since his, freshman year, since he stepped foot on campus. Communication from him to the rest of IU's, young defensive backs is going to be really, really critical, here Saturday.
Stu Jackson from thehoosier.com with us. Stu, on the offensive side of the ball for Indiana, they've shown basically what their offense is, and that is a running game when they can get it going and a short passing game. How are they going to manage to be competitive with Ohio State if they cannot get that running game going and living on those short passes?
Yeah, there's no question that Peyton Ramsey, I think, is going to face a lot of pressure because it's not the best, it's definitely one of the best, defensive lines in the country, let alone the Big Ten. And so, Ramsey's going to be facing a lot of pressure, and I think you're going to see him, try to get the ball out as quickly as possible. I think Indiana will probably go with an offensive game plan kind of similar to what, Mike DeBoer had for, the offense against Michigan State, just because of the front seven and the pressure they created.
They had a game plan.
So, yeah, I mean, just trying to get the ball out as quick.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Yeah. No, yeah, so they, I think they're going to, in order to protect Ramsey and knowing that he's probably not going to have a ton of time to throw, just given the talent along Ohio State's defensive line, we're probably going to see, Ramsey trying to get the ball out quickly. We'll have short and intermediate passes. I don't know how much success they're going to have with running the ball. I think because of that, just with going back to the defensive side, I think it's going to be on the defense to kind of come up with some takeaways to give Indiana's offense, some shorter field position on some of these drives, because, normally the running game kind of sets that up, but I think that's going to be kind of difficult for Indiana on Saturday. So,
you talk
a lot of quick passes and all that.
You talk about protecting Ramsey, which is apparently what they were trying to do in the entire second half of that Rutgers game. If that's, they're obviously planning on redshirting Penix. That seems to be the plan. Don't know that, but just the fact that he hasn't played. But if they're then going to, in turn, try to have to protect him, how in the hell are they going to have an offense when you're trying to protect a quarterback and your offense is not that far outside of vanilla to begin with? That's going to make it even more difficult, it seems like to me.
Yeah, it's there's no question it's going to be tough. If I don't know that as far as the redshirt rule and which games Indiana has picked out as far as the remaining two that Penix is going to play. I'm not sure if this will fall under that, because it's sort of like the Michigan State game. Do you want to put a true freshman who, even though he was an early enrollee, still doesn't have a ton of experience yet. Do you want to put him out there against one of the best defenses, not only in the Big Ten, but in the country? And so I'm sure that, there's a similar thought process there with, facing Ohio State this Saturday. I'm sure maybe they put Penix out there to, to put some wrinkles in the offense and throw Ohio State's defense off a little bit and to give them some different looks. But, we'll see, I guess.
We certainly will. Stu Jackson from thehoosier.com. I can't thank you enough, as always, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. See you soon. Stu Jackson from thehoosier.com. Check out his free content at that site. Brought to you by Brooks Roofing. Probably working in your neighborhood right now. The protection you need when Mother Nature strikes. Brooks Roofing. Find them at brooksroofingin.com. Local contractor, been in business since 2006. Right here in Southern Indiana. We've got Terry Hutchins coming up yet on the program today. That was Stu Jackson from thehoosier.com. Talking about the Ohio State game. I don't know what they're going to do about protecting Ramsey, because that's they went into this shell against Rutgers in the second half Saturday, claiming to be protecting Ramsey. Well, what the hell are you going to do against Ohio State and Penn State and Iowa? Really?
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier.
Hell no, it's going to get worse. Yeah. Way before it gets easier.
Like I said yesterday, that's concerning for the unit that we thought was going to be the best unit on the football team.
Very much so. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. You got a lot of games left. That's the thing. It's not like you got 3 games left that you're trying to get through. They got the bulk of their schedule remaining, 7 games. They're dealing with injuries now to their receiving core. Do you know why? What receivers have gotten hurt in consecutive weeks? What position has had to be filled and refilled?
Running backs.
No, receiver.
And running backs.
Well, okay. Forget the running backs. What position at receiver has had to be filled?
What, slot?
Yeah, the short range, because they're the only ones that get any passes, because they're getting pounded. Now you got Ja'Shawn Harris down. You're down to your third option. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. That's been proven time again. But, hello? Am I the only one that sees the problem arising?
Yeah, who do you turn to next?
And how long can you continue to do that?
Right.
You're going to run out of people eventually.
Reese Taylor seems like a perfect slot guy, but yeah, I'm sure he doesn't want to risk that.
Well, they're using him in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible, actually, all the ways they're finding to use him.
For all of those freshmen that are playing and getting good minutes. Ronnie Walker was, Stevie Scott, of course, again, slowed down.
Some of those other positions, it's going to be interesting to see about the redshirt rule. You talked a little bit about it with Stu, but like a guy like Ronnie Walker, who's played in, 2 games, maybe 3? Well, a guy like Ronnie Walker be redshirted.
Did he play against
Rutgers?
Rutgers?
I don't remember seeing him against Rutgers.
Who knows what they're doing? Captain Andrew Luck was at it again. Actually, this is a couple days or yesterday.
He hasn't posted for today yet.
But do you know, I saw it was on ESPN. They had it on SportsCenter. Man, this dude, I wish I were him. First of all, how many followers does he have?
Oh.
It's like 250,000.
It's 318,000.
Wow.
You know how many he's following?
1.
2.
That's incredible.
I wonder who he's following. Ken Burns, the baseball writer, the Indianapolis Colts.
That's funny. Here's the 3 texts he has posted since the game against Houston where they lost. Can't believe that. Dearest mother, our unit lost a lengthy, close battle with the Texas men. My frustration is boundless. While there were bright spots, such as Sergeant Vinatieri officially hitting a record sniper shot, we were tactically unsound. We shall learn and move onward. I miss you. Andrew. Then, dearest mother, the men have mended their wounds and spirits in short order. They have little choice. We must move out this morning to begin our march to Boston. Their General Stone-Faced Belichick and his band of patriots await battle. Our unit yearns for another victory. Andrew. That was 2 days ago. And yesterday, dearest mother, we have reached the outskirts of Boston. Our unit tracked the Patriot men by the smell of their baked beans and their unique, almost always shouting dialect. Tomorrow night, we battle. For now, I shall take some squirrel oil and then target practice. Andrew. Follow him on Twitter if you don't already, Captain Andrew Luck. He's kind of comical. He's pretty funny. We've got Terry Hudson's coming up on the program here on Indiana Sports Beat. Make sure you stay tuned. We've got all that and more. We'll be right back. Hey, if you're in the market for a new truck or tractor, car, or ATV, you need to be at Hollis Auction Service on November the 10th. Located on Highway 150 in Greenville, just west of Highway 335, Hollis Auction Service also needs items for the auction. If you're looking to sell, call Billy Joe Hollis today at 502-664-1606. That's 502-664-1606. Make sure you're at Hollis Auction Service in Greenville on November 10th. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle here on Big X Sports Radio. Terry Hutchins hopefully be joining us here in a little bit on this Thursday, October the 4th, 2018. That's 10 months in for the show, as Justin pointed out a minute ago.
That's right.
We've got a big Friday planned for you. The outspoken Xander Diamont, former quarterback for the Indiana University football team, played in the Kevin Wilson era. You remember him? His mother was in Seinfeld. His father was a soap star. Also, Mo Creek. Had a lot of players on, but we have not had anybody from that era.
Yep.
From the 2009-13 era. And I pointed that out to Mo yesterday. He goes, I'll gladly rep my era, baby. So, that's the first player from that group to come on. I didn't realize that. So I'm looking forward to talking to Mo. He's in, where is he?
That's a great question.
I know exactly.
He's moved around a lot.
I know exactly where it is. I'm just drawing. It's not Russia. It is, but it's not Russia. What's, gee whiz. Yeah, that's where he is. He's over there. Been over there since September. Mitchell Page just got back from Germany. Playing in the German Football League over there. Led them in every frickin' category, man.
Ukraine.
You talking about Mo?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ukraine. That's it. But Mitchell led him in every category. He should be the league MVP.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be awesome, huh? Very, very cool for him. So a lot of former Hoosiers.
A couple texts in the show, 502-414-1450 if you want to do the same. Trevor texts in and says, ask Xander about his mother's tractor story.
Exactly.
From Seinfeld.
Sure, he had never heard that one before. Of course, you don't know. You don't get that, though.
No.
And I'm not going to tell you.
Might look it up.
Well, that's the only choice you're going to have because I'm tired of teaching you.
And then he also says, can I assume after Ohio State beats IU 48-14 this Saturday that basketball season officially starts on Sunday?
You're too late. It already started. And that score is that may be
probably pretty spot on.
Yeah. I mean, as I sit there and look at that,
I think maybe 17, but
maybe not. That may be. Yeah, that looks about right, unfortunately.
And then Tim texts in and says maybe Penix and Ellison both play. Good timing there. And how about Reese Taylor quarterbacking? Does he have an arm?
No. Absolutely not. It's not. They have a quarterback. They're not using him. It's not. Yeah, Taylor's. It's not about Taylor. It's about them using the quarterback they need to be using to get him better now and next year in the future. That's another thing that makes no sense to me. Everyone talks about how he's the quarterback of the future. Well, how about, is that future next year? Well, why wouldn't you get him ready this year for next year? Yeah. Because there's no way you would have lost anything with him.
That doesn't make any sense.
So now they're going to be starting. It's so aggravating. But yeah, 48-14 sounds about right, unfortunately. Like I said, normally I see a path where they can do this or that. Don't see that path. Just simply don't. I just don't see him having the firepower. Coming up blank on Terry?
Yes, sir.
Did you quit trying?
Nope, still trying. He decided to sleep in.
Well, he does that sometimes. Hey, don't forget tomorrow, Free Lunch Friday from Bubba's. We'll be giving away lunch. Not only that, everybody's looking for the IU basketball calendar. Got them. We'll be giving those away as well, so make sure you stay tuned.
You got the Floating Heads poster?
Yeah.
Come on.
Of course. Floating Heads poster.
That's what I call them.
It's funny how each year they're just different.
A little bit, not much. Concept stays the same.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, but it's... And another thing, poor assistant coaches, all that work they do, they don't even get their picture on the stupid calendar, man. You can't squeeze their heads in there? Are you kidding me?
Who's that?
The assistant coaches.
Oh, yeah.
Bruiser Flint, Ostrom, and
Schilling.
Ed Schilling.
They're the guys that do a bunch of the heavy lifting.
They do most of the heavy lifting. That's what I'm saying. You can't find a little couple inches to squeeze their heads in on that thing.
What about a guy like Cliff Marshall? He needs an appearance on there as well.
You're damn right he does. He's as important as anybody on there. That's
right. A
that's
complaint
actually
letter.
true.
Yeah,
Actually
I'd like
true.
to see that changed for the future.
I think they should be. I know that I think in Knight's era they probably were on there. You know, those things used to be actually posters, like on poster board.
Not little pieces of paper.
But yeah, we'll be giving those away tomorrow, courtesy of Kentuckiana Premier Truck Center at Bubba's 33. So we'll have lunch and posters for you tomorrow. Also, Xander Diamont, former quarterback for Indiana University, very outspoken. Looking forward to talking to him. He won't tell you what he thinks. And Mo Creek, looking forward to catching up with Mo, man. I haven't heard much out of him since he left Indiana. Of course, he had that horrible injury. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Gee whiz.
He was, that was during his freshman year, right? Because he was lights out. I remember I was at the game up in Assembly Hall when they took on Kentucky. Mo Creek dropped 31 points on Kentucky with John Wall.
Boy, did he. I was at that game
That
as
was
well.
a fun one. But, yeah, that guy can score. I know he's always playing basketball somewhere. That's just what he does.
He was a great dude. He was a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mitchell Page, Mitchell will be on the program next week. Man, we're killing it.
Come on.
Looking forward to that. I may have an announcement next week.
Tim T texted in and says, I asked this, is there any place locally to get IU basketball calendar?
I posted, not that I'm aware of, to answer that question. I posted on there a place where I think that they will send it to you.
I know Mike
Indiana.
Mike Schumann had something posted up yesterday on thedailyhoosier.com.
Well, I posted
where
it,
you
as
could
I'm
buy it.
telling you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you did repost it, yeah.
So you can find that on Indiana Sports Beat on the Facebook page. Just go in there and look on yesterday's postings. It's there on, I think they'll send it to you. It's IU. But you can also win them tomorrow. I'm going to give a couple of them away. Let's give like 3 away tomorrow. So, I may make everybody eligible for this. Everybody's eligible for the calendars.
Come on.
Throwing caution to the wind.
Another text in from Trevor. This one's quite ironic. We're not Louisville, Trevor, but assistant coaches are there to hand off.
So this is not Louisville, Trevor?
No, we are not Louisville. Indiana is not Louisville. Assistant coaches are there to hand off envelopes to shoe runners, not be seen on team posters.
Yeah, it's that's that Louisville thing. I guess with the FBI investigation, corruption trial ongoing, it brings all those memories back to the Louisville fans of how that, and they're getting a better understanding of how their operation worked. I guess Louisville's getting a better understanding of how their program's been being run for the last several years. That is interesting. That trial is ongoing, by the way. Today, who was it they're expecting to hear from today, maybe?
Brian Bowen Sr.
Brian Bowen Sr.
That could be huge.
Who acknowledged, hell yes. He was at the heart of being recruited by a lot of different people that were apparently throwing money his direction. Oregon, I've heard Oregon, Kansas.
No, that's the dad of Brian Bowen.
I know.
Senior.
Oregon, Arizona.
I kind of feel bad for Oregon. They only got involved because Louisville drug their name through it. Well, Louisville's going to offer Bowen, so we came in.
Who knows? But that trial's been going on since Monday. I think that's up in New York is where that is going on. But looking there, who knows what all is going to come out of this? But there could be a bombshell. Hasn't been yet that I'm aware of. But there could be some bombshells dropping because you're going to find out who knew what, who talked to whom, who arranged what. And then you look at Brian Bowen, $19,400. That his father took $19,400. And that cost his son from being able to play in college. Now, 2-3 years from now, when they're millionaires, they're not going to give a crap. But what happens if he would have to get hurt and never got to play in the NBA? What happens if he was a Sam Bowie, never got to play in the NBA? All that ruined for greed.
Yep. One bad decision.
By a parent, no less.
Right.
Now, we don't know the ins and outs. Don't know if they were chased or if they were walking around with their hand out. I don't know that. And I'm looking forward to these trials and getting a little more information about that stuff.
Likewise. And I'm sure everybody is as well. I mean, this has been going on for what seems like years now, although it hasn't even been a year.
Well, the funny thing is you get all this speculation. Oh, I heard they're going to mention this. Or I heard Romeo's name. What? Well, people crack me up. Why don't you worry about it if it happens?
Yeah.
Instead of if it's speculated. I don't. There's nothing there. Don't create stuff.
I mean, if it is there, it'll be drug out. I mean, you look at a guy like Kyle Kuzma and Markelle Fultz. They weren't in it until yesterday. After the trial, their names got drugged through it, so now they have to worry about it.
It is interesting to see what all is going to come out in this.
Yeah.
What schools, because Pitino and Zurich are the only two high-ranking people that have lost their jobs, and they haven't been shown to be involved in it yet. Zurich for sure, but Pitino,
I was just
that's
piling on.
That saga goes back and forth. But we'll certainly find out as the FBI is heavily involved. This corruption. What's that? Is it a text?
Trevor says, I hope the Bowen family held on to that cash. Don't think the Sydney Kings pay that much.
Exactly. And maybe he gets in a fight with one of the ball boys. Not ball boys, but as in Lonzo ball boys.
Yeah, there you go.
Didn't he just get in a fight with somebody over there?
Yeah, oh yeah. In Lithuania, he caused a big brawl earlier this week.
Punks. Is that the one that stole stuff in China?
No, that's LiAngelo.
That little punk should have been left in China.
He won't go anywhere in his life.
He should have been left in China. If that had been me, I'd still be in China. Donald Trump got him out. That's a joke. But anyway, tomorrow coming up on the program, we've got a big show, as I said. Xander Diamont, outspoken former quarterback for Indiana, played under the Kevin Wilson regime. We'll see what he's got to say. Mo Creek played in the era from 2009-13 for Indiana, played under Tom Crean, and that season that started out shaky when he first got there, and by the time he left, they were number one in the country.
Yep.
So a great run by Mo Creek. Also, Drew Davis from Peaks.com. We'll get caught up on any recruiting news. Also,
speaking of recruiting news,
Sammy Jacobs.
Did you see Trace Jackson Davis?
This morning? No.
He cut his hair.
What?
He cut his hair. There's a picture of him yesterday on Twitter, completely shaved head. I mean, not like bald shaved, but like real short. Yeah. Completely cut it off.
Wonder why.
Right. That was like his trademark.
Well, I don't know about that, but
maybe because he looked like an Indiana player already, didn't want to look like that, so people don't think he's going to IU.
I hope he's got his senior pictures already. His mommy ain't gonna be happy.
His mom may be the one that made him do it.
I doubt it. Keon Brooks is the one that's got the hair. He's got the dreads, the whole deal.
Yeah,
not very long,
but Trace had the whole mop top, like Jake Forrester type look. Real high hair.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
Senior year, he'd shave. Yeah. Oh well, who cares? I thought you meant you were going to say he committed someplace or something.
No, that would have been in the headlines. Come on, man. You would have heard about that surely before I did.
Yeah, I couldn't. Cutting his hair doesn't move the needle much for me, but it does surprise me a little bit, though. I have to be honest.
No, you got to see the picture. He looks way different.
I'm sure he does. As would I without hair.
Well, you don't have much left, so.
Wait a minute. I have my hair, thank you very much.
It's thinning.
It's always been thin. Low blood sugar. No, I'm just kidding. Sounds like something Barney Fife would say.
I just think it seems a little thinner since when we started the show 10 months ago.
Well, we'll find out. Big show tomorrow, like I said. Xander Diamant, the outspoken former quarterback for the Indiana University Hoosiers, on the program from California. And from where? Mo Creek?
Ukraine.
From the Ukraine. We'll have Mo Creek on. How about that for long-distance calling?
Did you say Xander Diamant's coming from California?
Yeah.
Making him wake up early?
Hey.
That's before 5 a.m. there.
Everybody wants to be on the big show, baby.
Man.
All that and more tomorrow. Sammy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle also will preview the massacre that is about to be the Ohio State game. I think Trevor hit it on the head there. 48-14. That sounds about right.
Yep.
He'll be along shortly, so stay tuned. I'm sure he'll be talking about it. For Justin Kalen, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio tomorrow.